Data Log 28. Subject Matter: Skullmare. Skullmare is a large creature with an inconsistent size, but is usually around 57 feet tall and 85 feet long. Its weight is currently unknown, as no attempts to weigh Skullmare had ever been made. And, for rather obvious reasons. Characteristics: Skullmare appears to be a large equine creature, with a piebald pattern with black and white blotches around the body, which seem to sometimes move around the body over time. Skullmare possesses a mane with shades of gray, whites and even small strains of black. Upon a not-so-thorough observation, it seems to almost constantly have an open wound of some sort, revealing its dark, crimson inners and any bones in that area. Just like the white blotches, however, these wounds seem to just heal and reappear in other areas of the body. When we talk about Skullmare's hide in question, it's no different to any other horse, aside from three things. 1. It's very dry, almost like mummified flesh. It's just smoother, but this may have to do with the fur on Skullmare. 2. It seems to be reactive to the compound H2O, which is water, as exposure to water seems to get soaked up into this hide and flesh, and will start to fall off the body of Skullmare, to the extent that all the flesh and organs will just come right off the bone if exposed to large quantities of water, seem to possess is extreme. 3. A trait most creatures from the origin forest possess is tough flesh and hide. But origins are beyond a step from this, as like most origins in Skullmare's level, its hide is very resilient, being capable of being completely immune to most handheld or machine weapons, made for fighting and hunting most of the creatures of the origin forest. But the most prominent and constant characteristic of Skullmare is his head. Skullmare possesses a large skeletal horse head with two glowing orbs, which emits a white glow in the eye sockets, which seem to be its eyes. No flesh seems to regenerate on Skullmare's face aside from the two ears and the neck the head is connected to. The rather blunt and obvious conclusion is Skullmare is an undead horse. Behavior: Skullmare is not often seen, which frankly is a good thing, but most of the time, when inactive, we see Skullmare. He just wanders around the entire planet the origin forest is on, doing what any other horse does. However, we also found Skullmare has a very uncomfortable tendency to stand behind, or bark trees or other large structures from a distance and just watch us, slowly getting closer as we venture deeper into the origin forest. When Skullmare is in the stalking mode, we have to be very careful of what we do, as this is the stage between being spared or being executed, and any way that provokes Skullmare could spell all of our doom. If Skullmare becomes provoked, he will attack, and usually, the victims of these brutal attacks are Foundation workers, who are harvesting resources from the planet, or soldiers who are sent out specifically to try and get OB-28 from Skullmare, which is both extremely valuable and extremely hard to obtain. The reasons behind Skullmare getting provoked can range from logging, mining, excessive hunting, or killing a certain species, or as simple and obvious as attacking Skullmare. Other origins were in recent cases trying to get married, but over time, we have been seeing more unprovoked attacks as we start to try and advance more into the forest, making us believe Skullmare is aware of what we are doing, and he does not consent to our presence. Despite this, there are a few occasions where Skullmare actually protects and follows lone individuals who Skullmare seems to take liking to. We found that these individuals tend to have some form of compassion towards staff, members, and animals, or had no desire nor escape to work for us and are simply products to the Foundation. Another behavioral factor of Skullmare is how he certain areas with this white, spore-like fungus, which grows black splinter that ooze black liquid. These spores are the start of dead zones, and they can come from Skullmare's breath or from some of his attacks. Origins: Skullmare's backstory is very limited, as we are not 100% sure what he is or what his past is. However, we can tell he has been around for more than 20 eons, as we found cave paintings and runic symbols that depicted a large creature that looked to be Skullmare. We can also confirm what his job on this planet is to protect it, and is simply just one of the 28 origins. Skullmare being the origin of tragedy, Skullmare seems to be given many names by locals and tribesmen of this planet, such as the Watcher, the Horse, the Vessel of Dead Zones, God of Horse, Kudamati, Yin-Yang Beast, the Skull Beast, the Protector, but one name that is not mentioned much aside from an old book is the steed that defined time. We believe this is to imply Skullmare's immortality, or the fact that time does not work properly in the origin forest. In most cave paintings, we are shown that Skullmare remains distant from the people, but showing that watching behavior that is done to us. But instead of any painting of Skullmare fighting people, it shows Skullmare fighting numerous different beings. One most prominent are of multi-winged creatures, and one of an unknown creature that looks to be towering over Skullmare like a mountain. Skullmare has a large arsenal of powers and abilities, but we can only go through a few of the main ones we found since this report would be way too long for you guys if we said each one. But abilities: Skullmare possesses the ability to manifest chains, harpoons, or skeletal hands and skulls from random places, necromancy to a certain degree, portal manipulation to the extent of being able to travel through realms and mirror zones, the ability to create deadly spores that can inflict deadly diseases or straight up bloom out of somebody, and even to the extent of making a powerful white beam of pure plague, and slight omniverse manipulation. But the most overpowered ability possessed by all origins is a false death. When an origin gets killed in a battle, they respawn 28 hours after defeated. Meaning no matter how many times you kill one, they always come back, which is why we don't try to kill origins, as we lose so many soldiers and resources just for them to keep coming back. As far as passive abilities go, he has the flex of being the origin with the fastest run speed, highest stamina, durability, and endurance. As for what makes Skullmare so special when up against some of the stupidly powerful abilities the other origins have, he has bones that are completely unbreakable. It was so unbreakable that nothing ever done to it seemed to even chip it once. We thrown nukes at him, beamed him with satellite from space. We even saw him take a direct bite to his head from Origin 26, the third strongest origin. An origin with a bite that could literally break through anything. This fact alone made fighting Skullmare a death wish, as even once you're done with destroying his tough flesh, he will still be going strong without any meat on his body. We already fought dragons, demons, angels, gods. We have seen so many, and learned how to defeat them. But any origin over Origin 20 is a step beyond this. But in saying this, we know he has weaknesses, and had even fallen in battle many times before. As far as weaknesses go, we found Skullmare has a hate for water, and seems to almost avoid going into water or standing in rain. As mentioned before, Skullmare's flesh falls off when exposed to large bodies of water. When we build bases, we always try to make a large body of water surrounding the area, as this deters Skullmare from breaching into our base, which this has proven to be successful in keeping Skullmare from getting too close to base. Though while water is a good weakness, it is treated more as a discomfort/deterrent rather than an actual tool for inflicting pain on Skullmare. As if Skullmare really wants to get across water, he can bite the bullet and just run through the water to get to somewhere. Combining the information we have shared about Origin 28, he is an intelligent and powerful being, which acts as a protector of the Origin forest and its inhabitants. We must harness the powers of this dreary origin,